This is Take 5 with Bentley Nevada. Joining us again today is Chris McMillan, Senior Product Manager for Bentley Nevada's sensor portfolio, and that includes the Ranger Pro wireless system. And wireless is where we've been camped for a while, and we're continuing to explore that. Chris, one of the things we've been talking about is the types of data that can come back from the Ranger Pro system. And in the previous episodes, we talked about static, or sometimes overall is the name chosen for that, and waveform or dynamic data. And I think the sensors have three measurement axes in them, X, Y, and Z, and also temperature. Is that right?
That is correct. It's a triaxial accel plus temperature. So, the sensor provides both acceleration data as well as, of course, velocity data with a simple integration.
So when a sensor is, I don't know what the terminology might be, but polled. So you go out and you request data from the sensor. Does it send everything back at once, or does it take multiple trips, if you will, around the wireless network, or does everything that you need come back all at once?
Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't come in all at once. What it will get time synced, and the way these open protocols like wireless HART or ISA100 work is they try to optimize obviously power consumption. So the sensor will wake up, it'll take a reading, and it will basically break up that particular reading into a certain number of bits and bytes and send that through. However, that message is recompiled at the other end for the full, whether it's an overall level or full spectrum waveform. And that's why you really see a couple of different, I think we talked about in our last episode. That's why, Ranger Pro offers two separate data frequency rates, right? You can have overall values come through a little bit faster than you can a spectrum and a waveform. It's just because of that, reforming of the network. But the data all comes through. It is synchronized time-wise, so it is time synchronized.
So let's take the overall data. If I wanted to see overall data from all three axes, would I see that roughly taken at the same
yes
moment in time?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and I think that's probably what people are looking for is, a Z-axis rating that's taken 20 minutes after a Y-axis or X-axis reading might not be that valuable, but
Right.
getting it all at the same time, along with the temperature at that moment in time. And the other thing, I think, let's review, because in the last conversation we had, we talked about the intervals being different for the waveform data versus the static data, and just remind our listeners why they might use different intervals for that.
Pure, battery consumption, right? There's less processing power, if you will, to take an overall reading versus to collect enough, resolution or bits, if you will, for a spectrum and a waveform. So we're really just conserving, the network, making sure you have a large number of sensors interoperating together out in the network, as well as conserving battery life.
So as a hypothetical, you could get back a waveform or a spectrum maybe twice a day, and you could get the overalls, I don't know, every 2 hours, something like that.
I mean, if you wanted to press the system, we enable having an overall, if you will, once every 10 minutes, across a large network, as well as a spectrum or waveform. You can actually get that up to 4 times a day. Coming through. So, and some folks would like to see that. The more data, the better.
So you can actually build a pretty high resolution trend. I mean, 10-minute data is pretty good, particularly from a wireless system. And when would you see a customer using 10-minute data? What would justify data with that frequency?
If there's a machine or an application that's maybe went through an overhaul or retrofit, or had an issue in the past, or is looking, like it's having an issue, is trending upwards. You're going to want to see data more often, more frequently, and focus then on that particular asset or machine or process versus one that's running fairly steady. So just having that flexibility in the system, just one more value for that our customers have asked for.
Okay, well, fantastic. I think that answers some questions about, the configurability of the system and why you'd want to configure it differently as opposed to just go with the default settings in the system. Chris, this has been a common theme in our conversations, that there's always more to talk about than there is time. So let's do this. Let's put a bookmark in right now. I want to come back to this topic next time and talk a little bit about alarming and data collection under those scenarios and so forth. So you'll with your approval, be back with us for a few more episodes. Sound okay?
Sounds great. There's lots to talk about.
Okay, well, thanks again, Chris. You have been listening to Take 5 with Bentley Nevada, a big